Wonderful. Let's begin. And actually, I'm going to begin this session with us all just taking 3 deep breaths together to let go of the day, whatever's been going on, and to just acknowledge that this is time for you. Time for you to relax, time for you to take on board some stuff, some information, and to just give yourself the gift of time to work on you. So let's take a deep breath in. Hold it and breathe out. Breathing in. Hold it and breathe out. Breathe in. Hold it and breathe out. That's right. Wonderful. And so today we're going to be looking at self-love. I'm going to take you through some meditation, some hypnosis, some methods and techniques along the way to help you develop self-love. And we're not talking, well, I think one of the things that puts people off working on their own self-love is, especially in the West, we have this kind of this idea of, oh yeah, look at them, they love themselves. This kind of thing that enjoying being who you are is somehow bad. How being, and you can get egotistical, and we're not talking about that kind of loving yourself, but we're talking about the self-love that allows you to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and go, hey, that's me. It allows you to acknowledge that when you've dressed up for an evening, you kind of look and you go, yeah, I'm looking good. It's the opposite to that voice in your head that goes, well, you're not good enough. You don't look good. You can't do this. You can't do that. Why are you trying this? It's compassion for the self. And when it comes to self-love, it's important to develop and foster that. Again, not to become arrogant, but to value who you are, to learn to enjoy. I've always said that, learn to enjoy your human experience. Because when you enjoy your human experience, the experience of you, and kind of go, yeah, I'm all right, I'm good, then challenges that life throws at us, the obstacles that come up, even though we can go through difficult times, we never stop enjoying being us. It's like there is stuff going on and I'm dealing with stuff, but that stuff's out here. But I'm all right. I'm still enjoying the experience. I still love being me. And it can be a number of things that stop us from developing that self-love. And one of them is kind of connected with something we've talked about in the past, which is limiting beliefs. You see, when it comes to limiting beliefs, I'm not good enough is a limiting belief. I'm not a nice person is a limiting belief. And sometimes our limiting beliefs come about from experience, but other times those limiting beliefs can come around because they're put on us. The classic example of this really is when you have a child who maybe, because they're growing, because it's just what happens when you're a child, you go through phases where you're a little clumsy. You drop stuff, your body's doing things and you're not quite as coordinated, so you bump into stuff and knock things over. Perfectly natural. Doesn't make you a bad person, but inadvertently, even though it might not be meant any other way other than in jest, if a parent or somebody that we look up to at that point in life starts going, aren't you clumsy? Here comes the clumsy one. Oh, look at that. Oh, you're being clumsy again. reiterating this clumsiness. As a child, we then take on board, well, this is somebody who is older than me. I look up to them. They are an authority figure, and they're telling me I'm clumsy. Therefore, I must be clumsy. And as we develop, we manifest the behavior that meets somebody else's interpretation of who we are. So we're no longer living from our perspective of who we are, but we're behaving in a way that fulfills somebody else's. So their belief that we're clumsy gets put onto us. We like a coat, we take it on. And times of trauma, times of difficulty, times of where we've all been in situations where maybe a relationship's come to an end and it's been not so civil. People get upset at those points. Things are said in the heat of the moment that probably wouldn't be said, but those can stay with us. They can haunt us. Or maybe we've had to make decisions in the past that, although they were the right decisions, we know hurt or upset people. And these too can make us feel like we're a bad person, even though we've done the right thing. And that voice in our head, that critical voice in our head, continues then to go, well, look what you did then. That wasn't a nice thing to do, was it? What about such and such? And the fact is, it's not true. As human beings, we are born with that compassion, with that desire to connect, to support, to look out for each other. And self-love is the first step, because you can't be fully there for others if you don't have that love and compassion for yourself. The beautiful thing here, though, is that if you can see that self-love in other people, if you recognize self-love, then you already have it within you. If you did not, you would not know it when you saw it. Let's think of something simple. Imagine you've never seen a boat before. You have no concept of what a boat is. You don't know what it does, what its functions are, what its purpose is. It doesn't exist to you. And one day you see a boat sailing up to the shore, maybe, or up a river. You have no context for it. You have no idea what it is. Whereas if you already have that knowledge within you, if you already have the experience of boat within you, then when you see that boat, you go, oh, it's a boat. And it's the same with all the emotions. If you see somebody and you think, oh, I wish I had their confidence. To recognize that level of confidence, you have to have it within you to be able to gauge what that level of confidence is. And so it is with self-love. To know what self-love is means it's there within you. And it's just those obstacles, those limiting beliefs, those ideas that have been put onto us, or sometimes we put on ourselves, that really hold us back. And the first stage of self-love is self-acceptance. Just realizing that who you are is enough. I always think it's, on one hand, a slightly cheesy analogy. On the other hand, it's so true. And that is the fact that if you're flicking through a newspaper looking for a job, and there in the back of the paper is, under the jobs, is a job being you, nobody else in the world, not just now, but nobody else in the world ever has been more qualified to be you than you. Nobody will make a better job of being you than you. No one. They can't. Even into the future, no one can do a better job than you of being you. And when we begin to accept that we are perfectly being us in any one moment, then we can start to develop those seeds of self-love, that self-liking, by accepting we've all had journeys, we've all got a story that brought us to this point. None of us can change any of what has been in the past. But also we have changed since that past. We're not the person that we were 3 weeks ago. We're certainly not the person we were 3 months ago, and we're definitely not the person we were 3 years ago. All things change. We change. And there may be things in our past that we've done that we think, oh, I don't deserve love. Look at what I've done. Are you doing those things now? Probably not. If you're looking back at them with some sense of regret or learning, then you're probably not doing them now. And if you're not doing them now, that it doesn't make you the person you were then. Which means there's a possibility that the person you are now truly is deserving of self-love, of accepting that you are you and nobody does that better. Nobody brings your gifts to this world. Nobody smiles like you do. Nobody laughs like you do. Nobody has quite your sense of humor. Nobody sings like you do, dances like you do. Nobody works like you do. Nobody cares about the people you care about the way that you do. And these are where the seeds of self-love start, realizing that you are perfectly you. You cannot be anything or do anything more. Accepting the past. Accepting this is where life is now. And that doesn't mean rolling over like a puppy dog, doing nothing about life, just accepting it and going, right, that's my lot. That's not what acceptance is about. Acceptance is about going, this is what it is now, but it does not have to stay this way. Self-love is partly about accepting who you are now and knowing you're on a journey, that you will change and that you are the best you that ever can be in any one moment. So what I'd like you to do, we're going into some meditation now, is have a fidget, get comfortable, and in a moment we're going to take 2 deep breaths. We've already done 3, we'll do 2 this time. Now I don't know whether you'll choose to close your eyes and relax on the first breath or whether you'll choose to close your eyes and relax on the second breath, but whichever you choose to close your eyes and relax on, just enjoy the journey. Taking a deep breath in, hold it, and breathe out. Taking a deep breath in, hold it, and breathe out. And just allowing your eyes to close if you've not done so already. Just return to your breath for a moment. There's nothing to do, just watching your breath. Being aware of the rise and fall. And tell yourself, I'm going to relax, I'm going to meditate. Everyday thoughts will not distract me, sounds round about me will not disturb me. They just help me go deeper into this wonderful state of meditation that I'm beginning to discover now. As you focus on your breath, I want you to become aware of that place within you that feels most still, most calm, most relaxed, and allow that feeling to start to spin and flow within you. And allow that feeling of comfort and relaxation to spin and flow within you to the point where it has its own momentum and nothing can stop it for a while. As you continue to relax, I want you to imagine, picture yourself standing at the top of a number of steps. Each step leads down to a doorway. And as we walk down those steps together, you can relax even more. And count them down. That's 10, relaxing 9, letting go 8. Each step, whatever they look like to you, taking you deeper within. 7, 6, getting close to that door. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As you stand before the doorway, just have a look. What does that doorway that your inner self has created to allow you to go deeper into this meditation, what does that doorway look like there, now, before you? Step through that doorway, going deeper. As you step through that doorway, it opens out onto a pathway. And I don't know whether you'll choose to go left on this pathway to find a place where you can let go of self-criticism and negative self-talk, or whether you'll go to the right to let go of self-criticism and negative self-talk. But whichever way you choose to go now, to let go of self-criticism and negative talk, take that path. Head out along that path in that direction, seeing what you see, hearing what you hear, sensing and feeling everything as you continue on. And the path leads you away from the door and eventually out to some fields. Long grass, wild flowers, that gentle, sweet scent of a summer's meadow. Walking across that meadow into the next. You realize that there's a hedge all the way around 3 sides of that field, and a stile in each hedge. And I'm wondering whether you're going to choose the left stile to get out of the field and let go of self-criticism and negative self-talk. The right to let go of self-criticism and negative self-talk, or whether you'll choose to go straight ahead and across the central style to let go of self-criticism and negative self-talk, whichever you choose. To let go of self-criticism and negative self-talk, step over, climb over that style now. And you continue on along a path until up ahead you notice a floral archway with a gate, and on that gate is your name. I wonder what lies beyond this gate for you that will allow you to let go of self-criticism and negative self-talk, and instead begin to focus on self-affirmation and compassion. Step through that gate as it meanders down a path that drops down into a hollow surrounded by trees. I don't know what birds you can hear or what you can see down there, however that looks to you. And in the base of the hollow, you notice two things. One is a small but very deep pool of water. So deep you cannot see the bottom of it, and anything that would be dropped in there would disappear, never to be seen again. And to the right of the pool, there's a stone, like a stone table, like a block of stone, and on it rests a block. Now I don't know what's in that block that when you open it you'll discover that will allow you to focus on self-affirmation and compassion. But for now we'll focus on the pool, and you go over to the pool. And in your mind's eye now, when I count to 3, there's going to be an object that appears by that pool. I don't know what that object is, and neither will you yet. But that object represents all the self-criticism, all the negative self-talk that you use to stop yourself loving yourself. Like I say, I don't know what that object will be that stops you from loving yourself, that makes you criticize yourself, that allows you to talk negatively to yourself. But whatever that object is, on the count of 3, it's going to appear by you there, by that pool. That's 1, 2, 3. And whatever that item is, that object is, you can look at it. That object that represents all your self-criticism, all your negative self-talk. And I want you to pick that up. Feel how heavy that is. Feel the weight of your self-criticism. Feel the weight of your negative self-talk as you hold it out over the pool. It would be so easy, would it not, when it carries so much weight, to just let it go into the water. Wonder how great you can feel, how much lighter things will feel when all that self-criticism and negative self-talk is dropped down into that pool. Do that now. Let it go. Dropping that and seeing it descend down into the water, the splash of the water. And notice as it sinks down through the water, going deeper and deeper, getting further and further away from the light of awareness and slowly disappearing into the dark, deep depths of that pool, never to be seen, heard or felt again. I wonder how good you can feel now you've let go of that, whatever that was. And instead I want you to turn and focus on that stone table to the right, that box sitting on that rock. And I don't know what the object is in there to replace that old object of self-criticism, but whatever that object in the box is for you, allows you to focus on self-affirmation, seeing the good things about yourself and treating yourself with compassion. I wonder what that is. I wonder, are you ready to look in that box? To lift that lid on whatever that is that will allow you to focus on self-affirmation and complementation. To focus on self-compassion and self-love. Go on. Open that box now. What is that you can sense, see and experience in that box that will allow you to focus on self-affirmation and compassion, on self-love? Lift that out. Whatever that is in that box, lift it out. Hold it up. No weight to it at all. It feels good to lift it. It's almost a joy to lift something so delicately light, yet so beautifully powerful in your life. You take that and you bring it within you, and it fills that space where that old self-criticism, that old negative self-talk used to be. Feel that. Warm, glowing, growing within you. A new voice of affirmation. Positive about who you are and what you can do. A new sense of compassion, no longer bullying yourself, but treating yourself with love, with respect, with compassion. Take a moment and allow that to work powerfully for you. That's right. And even though you do not know how this benefits you yet, those seeds of self-compassion, of self-love, of self-affirmation can begin to grow with you. Casting your light out into your world. And I wonder when you will begin to discover that you can enjoy your human experience, knowing that nobody will ever be able to be you as well as you can. not in the history of the world. And that makes you unique, that makes you special, with your own gifts and your own talents that you bring. And you can begin to notice those positive qualities that you bring. Those little moments where an action or a word that you share lifts somebody. That time when, without thinking, maybe you hold a door open for somebody, or you do something for somebody, because why wouldn't you? It's what you do. And I wonder how much more of those moments can you begin to notice, discovering each and every day, seeing yourself in a more positive light. That's right. And so it's time to leave this place. You close the lid down on the box, walking away from that pool, leaving all that was in the past. Each step bringing you into a more positive mindset, a more positive view of who you are and what you bring to this life. Back up the pathway, back through that gate. Back out onto the track and back to the fields. Back to that path that led to the doorway through which you started your journey. And even though you do not understand or know it yet, you will begin to understand and discover just how much you can enjoy being you, enjoying your human experience, having compassion for you, having kind words for yourself, supporting and encouraging yourself in all that you do. You arrive back at that gate. You open it up, and there before you are 10 steps. And I want you to start your way back up those steps. I'll count them up, each one bringing you back to normal everyday awareness, ready to continue with today's workshop. That's 1, returning. 2, to continue. 3, to get the most from 4, this exercise and the next. 5, 6, coming back. 7, 8, 9, and when you're ready to open your eyes, to focus more on self-love, self-acceptance, positive self-talk, compassion. Then on 10, open your eyes, be back here, be back now. But just enjoy that feeling, stay with it, as I guide you through the next exercise. And I want you to just make a little mental note. On a scale of 0 to 10, we're just working with today. On a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being I love my existence and the experience of who I am. 0 being I'd rather be somebody else than anybody else other than me. On a scale of 0 to 10, where would you gauge your self-love? How you feel and think about yourself? Are you up near the 10s? Is it a 10 or is it closer down to 0? Just make a gentle note of that. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath in. And when I do that, I want you, in your mind, to allow the very first idea or impression, the very first image or symbol that comes to you, to be there. I don't want to logically think about it. It's literally going to be the very first thing that comes to you that represents, whatever that's going to be, that number, that gauge of your self-love. Getting that now. So now you've got an image or an idea of something in your head. You don't have to be able to see it. You might have had, it could be something random. Maybe you had a tomato or something appear. I don't know what that image is for you, but now you have an image that represents how you feel about yourself, your level of self-love and self-worth. What I want you to do now is, in a moment, I'll count to 3. When I count to 3, you're going to get another image. Now this image represents that number going up. This represents more self-love, more self-acceptance, more self-worth. Getting that in 1, 2, 3. Now, whatever that new image is, that new impression, hold that in your mind. And I want you to take the first one and get rid of it, however you want to do that. Dissolve it, as though time was speeding up and it was just crumbling away in front of you. Blow it up. Get rid of it. Whatever you need to do to get rid of that old feeling of self-love, get rid of it completely. Gone now. And what I want you to do is take that new symbol and place that in place. Put that in place. Feel that new level of self-love, that new symbol working for you, and just check in with yourself. On a scale of 0 to 10, how do you feel about yourself now? Where's that gone up to? And we're going to do that again. So we're going to count to 3, and on the count of 3 you'll get a new image, a new impression, a new symbol, whatever that is. 1, 2, 3, now. Now this symbol represents even stronger and even bigger sense of self-love, self-acceptance and self-worth. So what I want you to do now is get rid of that second symbol. That was alright, it boosted things, but now we're going to get rid of that. Get rid of that completely. Dissolve it, blow it up, whatever you need to do. I mean, you can blow it a kiss and wave it off if we're being compassionate to ourselves, and send it off on its way, but put that other new, more powerful symbol image in place instead. So now you have an even stronger and powerful image, boosting your level of self-worth, self-love, self-acceptance. What I want you to do now is just allow that to be there. Allow it to sink into your life, sink into you. Let your inner self connect with that now. And then just check in on a scale of 0 to 10. Compared with where you started, where's that sense of self-worth now? Now I'm hoping as you've done this that has increased, even if it's just 1 or 2 levels, because the symbols that we create in our minds are our unconscious minds, our inner self's way of communicating to us. Now, if every day you spend a few moments creating that symbol, just going, right, what's that symbol that represents my level of self-love today? And then changing it, tweaking it, making it better. You know, if it's a dull and shabby image, smarten it up, tidy it up, make it bright and cheerful. If it's just a negative image, get rid of it completely. Change it for something else. So, for instance, I'll go with the idea of a tomato, just the first thing that popped into my head when I did this. So I'd have the image of the tomato. And I go, right, that maybe represents a level of self-love of maybe a 3. I'm going to say a 3. And so I need to get something that better. Well, what would be more wonderful than that? And it doesn't have to make logical sense. So you might have a tomato for the self-love. You might have I've got a mug on the shelf here that's got a face on it. That might represent halfway there. That might because it's smiling, that mug. It looks content with itself. I'll show it you, in fact. Wasn't planned, but there you go. You see, that looks content. That's a content mug. So I squash the tomato in my mind very quickly, getting rid of it and putting the image of that mug in its place, instructing my mind to change how it's representing my level of self-love to something that's better. By changing that representation and working with that regularly, I'm starting to instruct my mind that I want to feel differently about myself. So after that, maybe I stay with that mug. Maybe I work with that idea for a week. So I go every morning, I'm like, what's that image? What's the first image that pops into my head that represents my level of self-love? And maybe I get the tomato again. Maybe I get something else that's maybe it's a 4, but not a 3, but it's certainly not a 5. So I change it again. I keep changing it. until I may be over a number of days, every time I think of self-love, I get this. Because this represents more self-love for myself, more self-acceptance, more self-worth. So after that, then maybe I go a step further. Maybe I take it a step further. I'm going to go with just the first thing I can see. So maybe I go, okay, well, I want to get that up to a 7. I want a level 7 for my self-love. And maybe the first image that comes into my mind when I think about that much self-love is a hat. Don't ask me why, it was the first thing there, and that's what I want you to do. I don't want you to logically think about it. I want you to go for whatever comes. So maybe you end up with a hat as that symbol of a number 7, putting that level of self-love, self-worth, and acceptance up there. So again, keep working at getting rid of the old symbol and replacing it with the new symbol until the new symbol sticks. Once that sticks, you can build that up and notice and watch how, as you're doing this, your own sense of self-love, self-worth, self-acceptance will grow. And those critical moments, those times when you put yourself down, and we're guilty of bullying ourselves, become less and less and less as you're building up to that more positive image of you. And why are we using random things? I'll tell you why. I was working with a client just the other day, and I asked them to picture themselves in a few months' time being more confident and more able to do a certain thing. But they really struggled with knowing what they would look like doing that thing, having never done it. Whereas when I said to them, okay, first thing that pops into your mind that represents you more confident and able to do that, and they went, oh, a car, I think it was, if I remember right. Instantly they could do something. It's still a symbol, it still represents where they're going, but it can be easier to work with the random symbols that our mind generates to represent things than it is sometimes to picture ourselves with those qualities. So if you go, ask yourself that question, what is a number 10? If I was the embodiment of self-acceptance, self-love, and self-worth, what would that number 10 symbol be? And the first thing that popped into my mind was the sun. Okay, that was the first thing. As I'm telling you this, that's the first thing that popped in my mind. So I can change whatever symbol I have, and I can morph it, I can mold it, I can change it. It's good. If you've got an image in your mind, imagine it's there in front of you and you're stretching it and pulling it and changing it into that other shape. There's something in doing the physicality part of it that really reinforces the emotional and mental changes we're making. So change that image until you get it to that image that represents that level of self-love and self-worth. And why would you not go for a 10? Go for the 10. If you get an 8 and you were a 3 before, that's amazing. You've over doubled your levels of self-love and self-acceptance. And keep working at it. Self-help, self-development isn't something we do once. We do it a little bit every day. So every day for the next 2 weeks, I want you to wake up in the morning and ask yourself, how do I feel about being me? What is my self-love gauge? Get that number, get the image, get the symbol, and then change it for something that's more. And if you've got a permanent symbol that represents that number 10, keep changing it to that until your unconscious mind begins to realize that that's where you want to head, that's how you want to be feeling, and it will start to make those changes for you. So I'm going to ask you again to just take a nice deep breath in for me, breathing in. Hold it. Breathe out. Breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. And just before we take that last deep breath, I want you to do something on that third breath as you breathe out. I want you to make a triumphant gesture, whether it's a hands up in the air like yes, or whether it's a clenched fist clutching the air and bringing it down. Yes, some sort of powerful gesture that goes, yes, I am worth this. So take that nice deep breath in. And when you're ready, make that gesture now. Yes. And then when you're ready, have a stretch, have a fidget, be back here, be back now, ready to discover just how much you can grow in self-love, self-acceptance, and self-worth from this moment forward.